Leader's Edge,
where
Learning is a never-ending
journey, limitless vistas. Good day. Welcome to the Leader's Edge, and today is season 9, episode 9, with Conrado Perreras, Conrad to his friends, who will be talking to us about building a well nation, living a life that matters. Now, for those of you who are listening to our show today, the name Conrad Pereras probably rings a very large bell for you, and it really should because he is an economist by training, a marketer by profession, an entrepreneur by choice, but an advocate for life. He took up his studies in industrial economics at the Center for Research and Communications, and he studied corporate governance at the Institute of Corporate Directors, took up his MBA at the St. Dominic College of Asia, studied workplace wellness at the National Wellness Institute, got his AB, Major Economics Minor Mathematics at San Beda College, now called San Beda University. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome to the virtual stage Conrado Conrad Perreras. Conrad?
Thank you, Dino, for that warm introduction. And I feel honored to join you in this conversation on the Leader's Edge.
You're certainly very welcome. And this has been a show long in the making. I know that our programming director was so eager to get you on the show, and we're gratified that you took the time to be with us. And I'd also like to wish you well because I know that you came from a doctor's appointment yesterday, and I hope you're okay.
I'm not in the peak of health, but I am within the borders.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, I'm just wondering, can you tell me something about yourself? Maybe something that few people are aware of.
Yes, Dino. For those of you who have heard me speak,
Mm.
I have been giving testimonials here and there since I caught COVID-19 in 2020.
Oh.
And I thought I won't make it. So when I did testimonials explaining to people my humble beginnings and how I got to where I am today.
Mm.
Many know that I do not deny the fact that I come from a poor farming village somewhere in Pampanga.
Mm.
My father was a farmer and my mother was a homemaker. We
Mm.
we are a large family
Oh.
because my father had a first marriage before the war, and he remarried after the war when the wife died. And it's 4 plus 13, so I come from the 13. It's a huge family, and
Awesome.
yes, I'm a middle child. You know, when you're a middle child, the disciplinary measures are a little bit more lenient, and
Okay.
also your parents are more relaxed on their finances.
Mm. I understand. Now, you did mention that you had a large family, and I imagine on a farm that is quite handy because there's more of you to share the chores with. Mm. But I imagine that growing up on a farm and growing up from such humble beginnings created certain values that you cherish up to this point in your life. Could you describe what your childhood was and how that shaped you to possessing the values that are now immutably part of who you are?
Yeah. Dino, when I was growing up, I never knew how poor we were because there was also always food on the table,
Mm.
there was clothes on our back, and a roof above our head.
Mm.
What made a difference is when I started going to school because when I looked to my left and to my right, my classmates had better food, better
Oh.
clothes, and better shoes.
Mm.
I was still on sleepers, and I walked on the streets where we lived, with my neighbors, whereas my classmates were being brought to school by their parents.
Mm.
Apparently, their parents had more time for them than my parents, because my parents, they're always busy in the farm.
Oh, yeah, farm life would definitely occupy you from as early as 4 a.m. in the morning. um, and I'm certain during those times there was no internet, there was no television. So probably by around what, 8 p.m. you were mostly asleep already.
Correct. And mind you, there was no electricity in our
Oh,
place.
oh my God. So that means your studies had to occur with what would be the equivalent of a kerosene lamp or candlelight.
It's a candlelight basically. But in the elementary school, we never spent time studying at home. Everything we did in school, because the moment you
Mm.
get home, there were tasks ahead of you, and you cannot ignore the fact that you have an obligation to
Mm.
play in the family. And so, uh, getting early to bed, no, it was not even a bed. We slept on the floor, uh, like packed like sardines, one, two, three, four, five.
Oh,
And
you know what?
so,
That seems to, I imagine that would create certain values. For example, like gratefulness for what you have, no matter how simple. Another would be uh, finding value in hard work, because everybody had to pull their own weight. I'm sure you did. And
yes,
then discovering the different kinds of exhaustion. There's mental exhaustion from school, learning new
yes.
things, and then there's physical exhaustion when you work on the farm. I wonder which was more exhausting for you, the mental or the physical.
Initially the physical, but
Mm.
eventually the mental, because uh,
Yeah.
at the beginning it was all fun.
Mm-mm.
It was play, but
Yeah.
as I moved to higher levels,
Mm-mm.
I have become competitive,
Mm-mm.
and eventually my target was to be at the top of my class. I
Wow.
realized that to be at the top of my class will give me the passport
Mm.
to pursue my high school.
Mm. I imagine as well that because there were so many of you, that created another value, competitiveness. In other words, you became determined to stand out, to make a difference, to be noticed,
Mhm.
and self-reliant. I can imagine how that really helped you because myself, when I grew up, also coming from humble beginnings, I was forced to bring fried banana that my mom had to cook as my baon because back then 25 centavos was all they could afford to give me, and I walked to school and walked back home. I don't know if you were able to reach that time in our education where you were fined for speaking in the vernacular, and so you had to pay the teacher who caught you.
In the elementary, no, because we were taught in the vernacular. But in
Oh,
high
okay.
school, we have the finding session all the time, especially in the English subjects.
Mm. And that's why I had to walk because I would inadvertently blurt
Have
out
to.
something in Tagalog or in Visayan. And so I really always only had 15 centavos, 10 centavos for the Clico, which was our soft drinks back then, and 5 centavos for the chicken noodles, which, believe it or not, that was how cheap things during our time, no?
Yes.
And I was bullied because I only had banana, fried banana by my well-to-do classmates. But I have a feeling you weren't because you knew how to compete and pretty much fight for your rights. So
Yes.
probably
Yes.
nobody bullied you.
Yeah. Well, I was bullied
Oh,
in my earlier years, but
okay.
I always had because there's so many. I had so many brothers. Th- They were there to protect me, and so I get into
Wonderful.
trouble. And in a minute or so, my
Mm.
brothers will be around to box the other fellow.
How I envy you that there are only two of us when I was growing up.
your sister, right?
Yeah, my sister. She was the one who was pretty good at pugilists activities. Now, anyhow, I, I'm wondering. So, from your early days, learning and growing up from farm life, and then studying diligently and ending up in high school, when did you decide what you wanted to be? Did it happen early on in elementary, or was it in high school when you realized that you wanted to take up the degrees that you did?
Actually, I had no inkling. I had no idea because I really never knew whether I was going to go to college or not. All I know was during the first year, I had to finish what I had to finish,
Mm,
and it's a day-to-day thing. But because of where I lived, I saw so much poverty, so
mm,
much injustice
mm,
that I resolved myself that I have to break that cycle of poverty. My
mm,
great grandfather was a farmer, my grandfather was a farmer, my father and all my siblings were older than me. And I thought to myself that that must be a way to escape.
mm,
Not that it is not honorable to work in the farm, it
mm,
is.
mm,
But I believe that there must be a way to break that cycle. At least one of us should be able to elevate our status in life. And the only way to do that is to study very hard.
mm,
I felt that that is the only ammunition that I had
mm.
to
So,
escape that environment.
so you did manage to escape and build a career and a life for yourself and your family. Did your brothers have that same drive as well? Where are they now? How are they doing?
Nobody, unfortunately, finished college. No one
Mm,
passed high school, and they all helped each other in the field. My
mm,
father,
mm,
but I believe, looking back, there were lies that my father told me.
mm,
He
mm,
always whispered to my ears that I was his favorite, and that he's letting me go to school when everyone else is working in the rice field. But
oh.
little did I know that he was telling everybody that.
Mm,
What made me realize was that I was not his favorite because he let me go. He let me leave Manila, and every time I come home, I feel envious
mm,
of the closeness of my father with my siblings. I
mm,
was left
mm,
to fend for myself. And on the other hand, had I not left, I would not have been what I am today. I would have
mm,
been party to that cycle.
mm.
I would have been a farmer. But even at that, probably, I would have been the best farmer.
Yeah, you're probably right. Now, according to Dr. Dennis Waitley, one of America's foremost psychologists, we can only build on a person's strengths, and positivity does work. So, though your dad was fibbing a bit, it seems that by planting those thoughts in you, it helped you to believe in yourself so that you applied your best efforts when you finally got to college and became an economist, which is an amazing thing because you're right, you have broken the cycle. And with your generation, you were able to move part of the family out of extreme difficulty, which by the way deserves its own interview, to inspire people that you can rise above difficulty and aspire to greater things. So you also describe yourself as an entrepreneur and an advocate for life. um how does that keep you busy these days, like when you survived the pandemic that was for the last 2.5 years? uh, how did that transform you, and where did it cause you to go? What new direction, in other words, are you in life now?
Before I checked into the hospital,
Mm.
I was made aware of my friends who didn't make it uh, because they
Oh.
caught it early enough and the
Mm.
medication was not known.
Mm.
And so they passed away. And never did I realize that I would make it. And so when I was in the hospital, I had plenty of time. In the first 3 days, the doctors were busy
Mm.
checking me every now and then. But on the fourth day, I must confess that I started to enjoy being in the hospital. The solitude that I never
Oh.
had, even though I
Okay.
was locked down. I
Mm.
brought my mobile phone, I brought my laptop,
Mm.
and so I continued working and I continued communicating with my friends
Mm.
without telling them that I was in the hospital.
Mm.
And at that point in time, it just dawned on me that when I get out of this hospital, I have committed myself to do something for humanity that has no immediate return to myself. I reviewed my past life and knowing where I am, I told myself that I will dedicate the rest of my life in the service of others because God permitted me to live. And so I made a commitment that if and when I checked out of this hospital alive,
Mm.
then I will come with a firm resolve to
Mm.
pursue without let up the things that I've started before the pandemic.
Wow. I'd like to validate what you just shared with us because some of our guests in previous seasons, for example, Douglas Brinker, who became one of our guests, talk about having redirection occur in their lives as a result of, say, a physical illness that made them reach out to their creator, made them more cognizant of how temporary life is and how short it is. uh, to some extent, we are amazed by how the millennials figured it out early with their YOLO. You only live once. uh, us older people could learn from them. And so you found your YOLO, you found your redirection. And once you did, what did you start to do to apply that realization? Um, how did you manifest that when you left the hospital, when you reintegrated into your normal life?
When I was in the hospital, I looked back and asked myself, what have I learned?
Hmm.
In college, I learned to pray and work, which is part of my Benedictine education. So in the past, I worked, but I also prayed.
Hmm.
In graduate school, I learned the meaning of excellence from my mentors. Whatever I do, I try to do it best.
Hmm.
And I also discovered that holiness can be achieved in the midst of the world without
Hmm.
being a priest or a man of the cloth. And so at that point in time, when I was at the crossroad, I asked myself, what can I do to repay the blessings that I have received, the second life that I was given? And it
Hmm.
was at that point in time when I told myself that I must find something that I can do, not only for myself and my family, but for my community, the people around me, something that have no financial return. It
Hmm.
is purely service. And
Hmm.
this is where I discovered that what I have been involved in can be fine tuned. And this is where I started looking at my wellness program.
Oh.
And my wellness program revolves around wanting to be well for
Hmm.
yourself, bring that to your family, to your company, and to your community.
Hmm.
By doing that, you will end up with healthy people, and a well nation needs healthy people. And so I told myself that because I have the resources, the training, and the passion, uh, I can be successful in helping build a well nation. And a well
Mm.
nation means healthy people. And so
Mm.
that is where I focused my effort after I left the hospital.
So you mentioned wellness program. Would that be seminars, or would that be broadcasting through social media to spread the word?
I will divulge uh, in your program. I am writing a book, and the
Oh.
title of the book is The Wellness Project.
Mm.
This is my second book. Last year, I wrote another book, my first one on bamboo, the timber of the 21st century. But that
Mm.
book was meant to address my environmental advocacy.
Mm.
But now that you're talking about today, the book is supposed to help people understand what wellness is all about. That
Okay.
wellness is not the same as health. Health, the end result could be death,
Mm.
but wellness is an improvement in your state regardless of where you are today.
Mm.
And so I'm writing a book and I'm putting together the work that I've been doing for the last several years. I am conducting seminars.
Mm.
The first part is a general awareness course, just
Mm.
to put everybody in the same page. And once you understand what wellness is all about, I choose you instead of you choosing me
Mm.
to become a wellness advocate. So now that you're armed with the concepts, now you can be a wellness advocate, and I will teach you what to do to become a wellness advocate.
Mm.
And once you are adept at teaching the concepts of wellness, we can proceed to the third level, which is lifestyle intervention. Because many people today are sick. Some are mentally sick,
Mm.
physically sick, emotionally sick, all sorts of illnesses.
Mm.
And I thought that by applying some intervention, we can help make our people healthy. And these
Mm.
interventions could be nutrition, it
Mm.
could be exercise,
Mm.
could also be energy management.
Mm.
And if I am able to put these two together, that is the package that I offer uh, to individuals, to families, companies, and even to my communities. And I have done a pilot already
Mm.
in where I live in the south, and it has been received favorably.
Wonderful. Now that all sounds very actionable, very practical, and I can almost see that it's a curriculum. It's not just a one shot deal, but it's something which is constructivist. In other words, it builds on one skill before you
Yes,
move on to the next. And I
yes,
like what you're describing when you talk about diet, because what you're in fact describing is food as medicine. If you eat right, then maybe you can skip the kinds of medicines that we often take, say for example to bring down cholesterol. So rather than take statins forever, you,
yes.
you know you're doing high fiber foods and low calorie foods to manage your cholesterol level. So I'm wondering, Conrad, if people want to hear more from what you're sharing, is there a website? Is there a channel? Or how do they find you? How do they enroll?
We will come up with a website so that people can sign in. Uh, we have an organization called the Wellness Organization Worldwide, or WOW for short.
Oh,
And
okay.
yeah, the idea is to have everybody be part of the organization so that they can self-reinforce each other, uh, like a support system.
Mm.
Uh, the idea is to have as many people as we can, rich or poor, old or young, healthy or unhealthy, just get into that organization, and we will sort things out. And once we're done in the Philippines, then we can move to the neighboring countries
Mm.
until it becomes a worldwide organization.
Wow, I do admire your vision, and it does start from that, because
Yes,
if you can't see the end product, then it's very difficult to pursue it. Um,
yes,
Specificity is key.
yes.
So,
And what we learned is to start with the end in mind.
true
So,
enough.
so
Yeah, well, Stephen Covey's words,
yes,
indeed. So, Conrad, if people were to look for you, I've found you on FB.
yes.
You're there, but are you on other platforms as well, like Twitter, Instagram,
At the moment, we
LinkedIn?
are on Facebook. So
Okay.
I am now galvanizing the support of other people with technical expertise so that
Mm.
we can maximize the use of social media.
I would have to say I admire you for your willingness to pivot and embrace technology, to go digital. Far too many of those who belong to the baby boomers or even the traditionalists are so allergic to technology, mom included. That when I was telling her,
I,
okay, you click on the green button at the bottom of the menu, you know, the word share screen. Oh, no, no, I wouldn't know how to do that. You have to come here and show me. I said, it's colored green. No, no, you have to show me. So I'm an admirer of anybody who are able to overcome their resistance to the digital world as you have.
yeah,
And
I was fortunate. I had two children, which are
ah,
5 years apart. And when they were growing up, uh, my daughter, the elder one, is more techno savvy.
yeah.
But a few years after, my son was able to overtake her.
Mm.
And I have become so dependent for a few years. When I don't know something, I call them to fix it. But I always tell them, do not do it. You teach me how to do it. So,
Mm.
because if you teach me how to do it, I won't bother you anymore. Uh, but the tendency for millennials is to do it quick so they
Mm.
can get uh, get it done and over with.
Mm.
Get over you.
Isn't it wonderful how the pandemic, among many other things, it's not all bad, you see, um, among many good things, is it helped us to appreciate Gen Z and the millennials. We used to think that whenever they put on their headphones, that hey, they're listening to music, they're not working. But in fact, when they put this on, it means they're going to start working. And because of their expertise in all things digital, reverse coaching occurred, where the subordinate, for example, teaches their boss how to
Yes.
use digital media or meeting programs. It's amazing how the pandemic caused young and old to bond in a way that they never have before.
Yes, yes,
Mm.
and I am a testament to that because after the during the pandemic, we were all locked down and we had to stay together
Yeah.
24/7. And there is no escaping the fact that we have to talk to each other, that you have to choose your respective places to do your work. But at the end of the day, you share table for breakfast, lunch, or dinner,
Mm.
and by osmosis, you get to learn what they do and learn to speak the language. But do you know what I've realized all the past 2.5 years is that the millennials can do things very quickly.
Mm.
But what they cannot replace is the ability to think critically, especially by people like us.
Yeah.
The wisdom that we can incorporate to their judgments,
Mm.
and I think that's a critical element in the growing process by both
In
children and parents.
Indeed. I'm sure you found yourself, as I have, talking to my kids, one who's 21, another one who's 13. and sharing with them some of the things that I learned in the corporate world, like RCA, or what we call root cause analysis, so that they
Yes.
begin to think more critically and more strategically when they're faced with issues or problems. So, Conrad, because of your advocacy now, which is driving your activities, your passion, the direction that your life has taken, how do you see things, as you enter the fourth quarter of your life? What does life look like for Conrad, say, in the next 5 or so years?
I told myself that uh, focus is the name of the game.
Mm,
I will focus only on three things.
mm,
I will focus on my advocacy about bamboo, meaning planting bamboo, utilizing bamboo for people, planet, and profit, the triple
mm,
bottom line. I must use my resources to achieve what they say, doing good while doing well. And this is the advocacy portion. So that is cleaning the environment, protecting the environment, sustaining the environment. That's one part of my advocacy. The other one we already talked about, helping people to be healthy and well.
mm,
But the most important thing, I believe, uh, is my advocacy on good governance.
mm,
Uh, I realize that I've been teaching governance to boards and to so many people. But what we really need to do is to do personal governance.
mm,
Look at what we do,
mm,
revisit our core values, our missions in life, our vision for ourselves and for our families.
mm,
That is something that I feel important. For the corporate, uh, that is easy because that is what I've been doing all my professional life.
yeah.
Strategic planning for companies.
Mm,
But I have to go beyond that. I have to look at the people that I live with in my community.
mm,
For example, I take volunteer work to determine where our village is going.
mm,
How can we provide safety to our people in the village, not
mm,
only for ourselves, but the people that work for us, the people who work in construction,
mm,
those who work for ourselves in our households. These are
mm.
part of governance.
I hear you, and I agree, because while we may be critical at times of whoever is in charge, and I know that social media is replete with rants left and right and center, it does begin with ourselves, the
Yes.
learning to govern ourselves. And I'm resonating with you in terms of looking at the hierarchy of needs and doing something that means more to us and more to the community at large, uh, to actualize, in other words.
Yes.
um, I too have served on our federation board for 6 years, as well as a village association vice president for that long a time, distributing sacks of rice, money, canned goods, well aware that I could catch the COVID while doing it.
Yeah, there's always that risk. But you
Mm,
know what I've realized after I caught COVID, whether I like it or not, I will encounter COVID not only once, twice, but even thrice. It
mm,
is the it is what is inside you that forces you to do
yeah.
things beyond uh, your control. And
Mm-mm.
I'd like to take this opportunity to let you know that since we already are over the elections and
Yeah.
we know who won,
Yep.
3 months before the election, I got involved in a major project to craft a roadmap for the country.
Mm,
And we gathered about 100 people, mostly executives, academics, religious,
mm,
and we put our hearts and minds to answering the question of where we are now, where we are going, and how do we get there. The
mm,
idea is to produce a document and submit it to whoever wins in the election. And
mm,
after the election, yes, we produced the document, less than 100 pages, put it in a few slides, and
Mm.
send it to the unit team, to the president.
Mm.
And this is devoid of political color because
Right.
the coverage is too long.
Mm.
It's until 2046.
Mm.
2046 is 100 years since we gained our independence from the Americans,
Mm.
1946 to 2046. It's 60 years after EDSA People Power,
Mm.
and because it's 24 years forward,
Mm.
uh, personalities are not involved. Whoever the players are, the roadmap that we have crafted remains the same. And this is a big commitment because you're talking of the last quarter of my life.
Mm.
I am not yet there. I'm 71 now, but soon I'll be 75,
Okay.
and I'll be responding to the question that you posed. What will I do
Mm.
in the pre-departure area?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And so this project that I've gotten into is a revisit of our core values, maka maka Diyos,
Mm.
love of God, makabayan, love of country, makatao, respect for the individual, and love for family. And lastly, makakalikasan, taking care of other creations of God. And
Mm.
so this is a big task, and we are inviting people to join us in the implementation because, as you very well know, the number one criticism for Filipinos is that we are good at planning, but we are pure at execution, and
Mm.
we want to prove them wrong.
Mm. And that's a wonderful thing that everybody can get behind, and I do admire the holistic approach that you took to putting it together, and the enormous effort it must have taken to coordinate all those sectors of society to take the time to create that document. Is that document publicly viewable,
Yes, we
or
will make it available. Now that we have it to the leaders of government,
Mm-mm.
we are also making it available to the private sector, to NGOs, almost anybody who will be interested. We will identify the website where they can go to access the information and volunteer what they can do to
Mm.
support this program. You can see my enthusiasm and my how passionate I am because it is the next big thing that I'd like to really get myself into. And this is where all my other advocacies will fall into place. The end
Mm.
result being the rebuilding of the nation. And this is where my advocacy on building a well nation fits in.
Mm. Mm. I love that because, as you said, it is irrespective of political color. It's something we can begin in ourselves and manifest in how we interact with other people. Wonderful. So, Conrad, as parting words to our viewers, especially those perhaps who are thinking about helping their own families break that cycle of say poverty, like dreaming for the stars. Uh, what words of advice would you like to share to somebody who might be watching this, say, from their smartphone in a farm somewhere and thinking, I wonder if I'll ever have the same success that Conrad had? What would you say for those souls who are
Uh,
hoping to break their own cycle?
uh, since I'm a golfer, uh, for those who can relate to it, they say that it is not how you drive, but it's how you arrive. The the translation being, it is that where your starting point is. The
Mm,
most important thing is the end game, where you want to be. And I would advise the millennials today, as they are doing well,
mm,
but don't let the environment you're in determine what you can become.
mm,
Education, I believe, is key because it is through education that I was able to break that cycle of poverty.
mm,
Uh, But it's more than that. It's the
Mm.
ability to collaborate with people.
Mm.
You don't have to have all the skills.
Yeah.
It's a question of mobilizing people to contribute to the cause. The
Mm.
idea is to promote a common good, and the
Mm.
common good is easily identifiable. And if you're able to do that, then by all means, pack your bags and start moving and start adding value to your life, make your life more meaningful, and build a life that matters.
Wow, I love the way that you did that, because you just created the bookend to a wonderful episode that we've had together. And I'm sure those of you who do play golf, if you're listening, you absolutely got what Conrad was saying, because it doesn't matter what they call your handicap is. You may have a 5-stroke handicap, but as long as that ball goes into the hole, everything's good.
Yes.
So, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of my co-host on the Leader's Edge, we'd like to thank Conrad for taking time out to be with us today, and we wish him not only good health but success in his endeavors. Thank you so much, Conrad.
Thank you, Dino. And please extend my thanks as well to our Madam Dinah Lumis.
Yes, yeah, to mom. So, as ever, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to encourage you to click on the like, share, and subscribe button. If you found value and inspiration from this episode, it would be wonderful if you could just click that subscribe button. And coming up in episode 10 is Paul Angelo Verona Lazo, who will be talking to us about beyond leadership competencies. It's certainly an episode to watch and wait for, because of the wonderful lessons that Paul has to share. And ladies and gentlemen, as ever, we close our show by saying that learning is a never ending journey with limitless vistas. Good day.